can smell really good. You've all walked past a Yankee Candle store in the mall where, you know, your nostrils are just filled with wonderful scents, but at the same point in time, they're not good for you at all. There's even lead in a lot of the wicks on the candles that we buy today. And when you burn them, of course, it goes into the air, and then, of course, you breathe it. And the residue that's left from these candles with all the preservatives and everything, it leaves a black, sooty, smoky type ring inside the glass. And when it burns, it bleeds them into the air and lets them go into the air. And of course, we don't want to breathe any of that, especially people, well, anybody at all, but people with asthma and other types of allergies. It just kind of makes it worse. And we shouldn't be burning candles anyway. They, you know, that's fire. And California knows all about fire. And I won't use them anymore. I used to use them when the electricity went out, but we have a generator now in case our electricity goes out, so we don't really have to worry because the generator is automatic. It'll kick in right away. It'll take over where the regular power outage has occurred, or when it has occurred. Another thing I want to talk about, well, if you look on the internet, you can find candles that, if that's what you want to do, that don't have preservatives, etc. But I wouldn't do it. So anyway, another thing I wanted to mention, this is the season of the color red and green. Well, I found out that red lipstick, all red lipsticks, not that anybody, you know, the listeners here wear it, but it has lead in it, all of them. There is not a lipstick that is of a red color that does not have lead in it. And of course, you put it on and it goes into the system, your body system. And things get absorbed by the mouth very quickly, so that is not a good idea.
You can't paint your walls, but you can have lipstick.
Right? That's no, that's got lead in it too. They have so many preservatives besides the lead that it's not worth it. There are some out there. Now, I know Burt's Bees has a good reputation, or at least that's what their advertising says. And I bought them occasionally, not all the time, but occasionally. But I found out that Clorox has bought out Burt's Bees. And what they say about the product is not exactly true. It's a little bit of false advertising there, because they do use some chemicals in there now, and it's just not as good as it used to be. And also, I wanted to bring in glitter. Glitter is everywhere during the holiday season. If you buy something, let's say at Michael's or Joann Fabrics or Hobby Lobby, you go check out at the counter, and as you leave, you know, you're covered in glitter. Their counters, even though they wipe them, still retains a lot of that glitter, and some of it's very fine. That actually can embed its way into you and a lot of other things. I know I had some on my hand once in Florida. It was a fine glitter, and I got into the car and drove away, and that glitter embedded itself into the steering wheel. With the Florida sun, you could never get it out. Why it adheres to the skin is because of the moisture. So it's kind of hard to remove. You can use some type of an oil, a coconut oil, or what you have handy, virgin olive oil or EVOO. Or now, if perchance, if you have an older daughter and let's say she uses somebody's glitter eye makeup or body stuff, which they have for the holidays, that has glitter in it. The best thing to do to take it off is a micellar water that they have on the market now. And you can pour some on a big cotton ball and then carefully remove it from the eyes or the face. But be careful. Everybody should be careful not to, let's say you check out at a counter and you get it on your hands. Don't wipe your eyes. This stuff can penetrate anything, including your eyes. It can set up a horrid infection, or God forbid you should lose some sight in that eye from wiping your eye and getting the glitter in there. And you should wash it out thoroughly if it does happen, obviously. Use some of the John Ellis water, because that would really be good for washing your eye out. One of the things, if you like scents during the holidays, I have done like I kill two birds with one stone here. I take and pour apple juice in a pan, cut in slices of ginger and maybe a couple sticks of cinnamon, and either poach pears or apples. They have different cooking times. Pears get done quicker than the apples, and it leaves a wonderful scent in the house, very inviting. Or you can do just cinnamon or just ginger, but together they make a really terrific scent. Or you can, in water, you could do vanilla bean, and that smells your kitchen really good too. And then, of course, with the apple juice and the cinnamon and the ginger, you get to eat the apple for dessert or the pear for dessert. It makes a very good dessert. So we like them. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit. I came across this article, and it's by Dr. Cassius Roman. He was the man who developed what he now calls Pandora's potato. He was the scientist that actually did the genetic engineering on it. And he has got a book out there now called Pandora's Potato and Pandora's Potatoes. And he, you can get it on Amazon and there's other sites. But what attracted me to it, it said Pandora's Potato, so I figured it wasn't good. He said, I'm just going to summarize a little bit here. He said it is the worst GMO product out there today. Absolutely the worst. He says it does a lot of harm to the body. When he genetically engineered these potatoes, he took away the potato sensitivity. Now, you don't think a potato is, has a lot of sensitivity, but evidently they do. When you see a potato, a normal potato, and it's invaded, what the potato does is, you've all seen those black spots on potatoes. Well, that's a potato's way of getting rid of the organism or bacteria or whatever has entered the potato. And people who manufacture potato chips and boxed potatoes and, God knows what, they can peel that away or scoop it out, and then it's gone. But with the new potatoes, and by the way, they're grown in Idaho, they're russet potatoes, and don't ever buy any non-brand potatoes. And now the russets from Idaho, I just am staying clear of all of them. You can get some organic potatoes; those probably will be fine, but the others I'd really shun. And going back to the potato sensitivity, since the new potatoes don't have any sensitivity left, it won't show that it's bruised. As a normal potato, if you drop it on the floor and you wait a couple of days, there's a bruise there when you peel it. Now, with these new potatoes, you will not see the bruise, even though it's there. So you're really eating a potato. I mean, it could be rotten from the inside out and you not know it. Something may be in there that you certainly wouldn't want to ingest. But I just found it very interesting that this Dr. Cassius Roman wrote a book about it. He said, had he known how bad and how detrimental to your health these potatoes are, he never would have taken on that project. So here's the guy who invented it, and he's saying, don't eat them. And I love potatoes, so I have to be very careful when I shop, make sure I do get the organic. And he said when he was doing these experiments with the potatoes, they made them last the potato plant only a year. He said, and a lot of the plants were deformed. A lot of them produced deformed potatoes besides, and they produced more like a chlorophyll type potato. I think you've all experienced potatoes that when you peel them, there's a lot of green inside the skin. Don't eat that. That's poisonous. So these genetic engineered potatoes have a lot of that going on. So anyway, that's kind of all I have to say about our lovely Pandora's
Well,
potatoes.
this guy was also a consultant to
Mons-
Bayer and
Oh.
Monsanto,
yes, he was.
and he said that when Bayer stepped in and was planning to buy Monsanto, which they did, I don't know when that took place, but I guess it wasn't too long ago.
In the late 90s, I think.
Anyway, I thought it was a lot more recent than that, wasn't it?
Uh,
Anybody, Mike, do you know when Bayer bought up Monsanto? Anybody?
No, but it was recent because they wound up having to take over all the lawsuits that were being filed against Monsanto. Bayer got stuck with it.
Yeah, okay.
oh, well, maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe.
Yeah, I thought it was recent too. And anyway, this guy who did this GMO on the potatoes also went before the board of directors for Bayer and said, "Don't do it." And he wrote 20 and 100-page articles telling them don't invest in Monsanto. And they went ahead and bought Monsanto anyway, and they immediately Bayer company lost something like $80 billion very shortly after the purchase was completed. And now the investors in Bayer are suing Bayer for that loss that they sustained. And so, maybe, well, another thing that happened is Bayer was forced to sell off a lot of its subsidiary companies in order to finance the lawsuits. So maybe there's some good coming out of this, and maybe they'll get rid of Monsanto eventually. But it's, at least it's waking people up to all that and, what all these lawsuits are about. So that's probably a good thing.
You worked on them. Go ahead, Mike.
Until they get a handle on the chemtrails, you don't have any idea what they're dumping. And the stuff that's come out of the air is affecting all the plants, all the crops, everything that's being grown. So it isn't like, you're buying something that says GMO on it or non-modified or doesn't have any toxins or crap in it. You don't have no idea what was dumped on this stuff after it was grown, and even the plants as they were growing. So everything out there is in question.
Well,
one thing.
I just want to make one more comment. There's a study that's just come out on the plastic, and you may have heard that you don't store the Ellis water in the plastic. Well, there's a study that's come out showing just exactly how many elements around the planet have been tested and shown positive when it comes to the nano-sized particles of plastic that's in it. And one of the things that was mentioned in there was sea salt, for instance. because of the amount of plastic that's in the seawater. It's also in that sea salt. So in order to prevent getting involved with that part of it, there's other salts out there. I think the Himalayan pink salt was one of the alternatives. So you might want to pay attention to that part of it. If it says sea salt on it, you don't want it.
You're right. You're right about that. And we've been using Himalayan sea salt since about 2008. There is a place in Naples, Florida, that is called a Himalayan salt cave. I think it's just called Salt Cave. But in this place, they have a whole room, and the room is quite large, and they have lounge chairs in there.
It's like a sandy beach.
It's like a sandy beach. You have to take off your shoes and everything, and you're walking on pure Himalayan salt. And they also have misters in there that put out the salt, so you're breathing it also. And Bob and I did that a couple of times, and then of course we bought a lot of salt to take home, and
About 100 pounds.
about 100 pounds of salt we bought. But of course it lasts. It's not going to go somewhere unless you throw it in water. But it was a neat experience, and
Has a lot of minerals.
has tons of minerals, has like 84 minerals in it, so it's really good for you. And I've noticed after I started using it, which is quite a few years ago, that other foods that I used to really salt heavily, I no longer had to salt hardly at all. It's almost like that once that Himalayan salt is in your system, you don't require any more salt. And I've noticed with the Jilly juice or the Jillian juice with the fermented cabbage, to me, the juice itself tastes just like sauerkraut juice. Like you poured a glass of sauerkraut juice, but I can taste the Himalayan salt in there, and it's actually not as acrid. I used to taste my grandmother's. She always made sauerkraut in these big crock jars, and part of my duties was to grate the cabbage on the cabbage grater and salt in between. But I remember the salt, and as it starts working and stuff, has a much more acrid taste than the cabbage I do with the Himalayan salt. So it's a good thing.
I wanted to make comments about the mineral.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of products out there that talk about minerals, 72 trace and all this. A lot of products. But something that I don't think most people understand is that just because it says it's got minerals in it doesn't mean your body can absorb it. And
yeah.
the minerals that haven't gone through the plant process, they're too big for your cells. It's not going to get in there. And so you got to be very careful. You got to make sure that the minerals that you're getting are colloidal in size, which means that they've already gone through a plant. And there are a few manufacturers out there that are selling colloidal minerals in liquid form. And it's got to be suspended in the liquid, whatever it is. It can't be sunk to the bottom of the glass. Otherwise, it's not suspended. And your body can't use it, can't absorb it. So there's a lot of mineral products. I mean, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
They claim, oh, yeah, this is sea salt. This comes from the salton sea. They're like, okay, how many plants has it been through before you guys harvested it? And it didn't. So it's like your body can't absorb a rock. So that rock had to be broken down over many unknown years of going through the process. And the plant is the only way that it can break the minerals down to a size that your body can absorb them. So I don't care what kind of water you're drinking, unless it's coming off of a slope somewhere in the mountains where there was a Cretaceous period rainforest that had been recycled who knows how many times, the minerals that are coming in that water, your body still can't use it.
Yeah. One thing I wanted, thank you, Mike. One thing I wanted to say too is that this genetic engineering, the GMOs out there, the bees who pollinate are taking a lot of this GMO material inside their body. And what they're saying is it has now changed a lot of the bees' DNA. And that's not a good thing. And then there we goes to the honey. What?
That's a really good topic. I just discovered, because I was looking to see why some of the plants aren't flowering, why they don't, produce fruit. And I went online and I looked up, how do I pollinate my plants or trees? And here's this whole article. This guy, he's talking about, he said, I just went and got some honey, mixed it with water. And there's a certain cycle, I'm talking about avocado particularly. There's a certain cycle where the plant or the tree is crossing from the male to the female side.
Mm-hmm.
How it does it, I don't know. I didn't do all the research on that, but that was his statement. He said, and what I did was I spritzed my tree with this honey water solution during this time period. And he said, you can't believe what happened to my tree. He said, this thing got more avocados on it that season. And it was unbelievable. And it dawned on me. Yeah, what you're doing is you're attracting the bees. Now, here's the second part. The honey that you're using, he didn't get into the technical part of that. But I know for a fact that if the honey hasn't been cold extracted from the hive, it has lost a bunch of its enzyme properties. And that's another factor in all this. But there it was. Here's this guy. And so if you can do that with the avocado tree, what else can you do it with? Any of your plants. And then if you're feeding it plus water on top of all that, I mean, whoopee.
And speaking of honey, we saw a report last year that said like 90% of all the honey in the grocery stores on the shelves isn't even honey. Go figure. Not even honey. It says honey, but it's not.
You got to find a I won't say private, but you got to find a farm somewhere where the people that are doing the bee harvesting know and understand the principles of how you get healthy honey and how you keep it healthy.
Yeah, we have somebody in our area. Well, he's in the Wausau area with a corporation, but he does organic bee farming, and we get honey from him, and it's quite different than what you would purchase elsewhere. It's really good stuff.
Make sure he's doing cold extraction.
He is definitely. Okay. Yep. Yeah, he's got all his bases covered there. He's actually been going around to schools and has been on a couple of radio shows talking about his honey and what, how he does it and how good bees are, etc. So
and by the way, I don't know if people know this, but honey, once you harvest it and put it in a proper container and seal it, it doesn't go bad.
Right. The only thing it can do if you keep it long enough is get a few crystals around the top of it on the side of your jar. Right. And that can be rectified. You shouldn't boil honey, but if you melt it slowly, it's fine. They say it changes when you really heat it a lot. So
the heating over 118 degrees kills the enzymes in it.
Well,
just like anything else, you couldn't live in an environment at a certain temperature; it'll just take you out.
Well, there's some Ayurvedic stuff out there that said that it actually turns poisonous for the body if you heat it to a certain temp. So I always kept that in mind for years. So whether that's totally true or not, I don't know, because I didn't test anything, but I never boil it or never heat it much at all.
The enzymes die at 118 degrees.
Right, the enzymes, but I think something else happens to it too, Mike. Besides the losing the enzymes, the Ayurvedic people say it turns poisonous to the body, turns poisonous. So you shouldn't ingest it. But like I said, that's, I don't know for sure, for a fact. Beethoven, I have experiences with him on the real side. Did you know that most of his composing was done outdoors?
No, I didn't, but that's an interesting aspect.
It is, isn't it? Because then, and then after he has gone so far, then he went back into the house and probably put it on manuscript paper, but I think he had manuscript paper out there too. He said sometimes he would carry tunes in his head for 5 years before putting them down and finalizing them. And I thought that was kind of interesting too, that it was a process such as that. One of his quotes was, "I love a tree more than a man." He, I thought it was kind of cute. He was a shy person. And, you know, today, if you see Beethoven's picture, he looks kind of cool with his wavy hair and stuff. But evidently, he never thought he was attractive at all in his day. But he sure is in our society. That's for sure. I wanted to tell you there's a lot of sites that we have. You can order the John Ellis water from Kelsey. What exactly site can they go in? I know it's New Wave Water, but when I use it, a lot of other things come up other than New Wave Water. So how would we get to that site quickly? Just call you, or
It is, you can call me, or you can go to newwavewater.club. So it's nuwavewater.club, no spaces with any of that. And that brings you to the home page, the front page, and you'll see that you're actually on what's called the start page. And you'll see that there is a tab at the top of this page that says water. If you click on water, that's where you can actually scroll down to purchase the water. Or if you want to directly go to that water tab without going to the home page first, just go to newwavewater.club/water. Scroll down and you'll see where it says shop now and the different options for the water and the machine.
Yeah, that's important, because if you just put in New Wave Water, it doesn't bring it up. So newwavewater.club, everyone, to order your water. And they also have t-shirts available. You still have them, Kelsey?
Do we have t-shirts?
With Rebisar? I don't remember what. I know they have Rebisar's picture on them.
Do we
have one? Do you have them available?
There's a few left.
Okay. Well, everybody, order a t-shirt with Rebisar on it. I wanted to read a little bit about what she had about order your t-shirts, Rebisar t-shirts. And they said there are so many historical figures that have not been mentioned with known history. And one such person is Rebisar, the natural is. Rebisar has many friends that have a real focus, as he does, on the all natural environment, supporting everyone. So that's just a little bit there. I thought I had a little more, but about that. Every moment he was here and is anywhere. His entire life is dedicated to a real service and devotion to all that supports all. It is not a matter of how popular a person is, but what they do with their life. And Rebisar is one such exceptional person who is very sincere and dedicated, providing real guidance and a real education for all. We, wonderful worldwide educators, salute Rebisar for all his efforts to maintain his life with what supports all of us. And this is why we have created Walk with Rebisar as a real wake-up for you and everyone. There are very few who have a true dedication to the all-natural environment and all it entails as Rebisar. Step up with us, universal survivors, and contribute to doing your part for the planet Earth.